Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
You are most welcome to PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and latest updates in politics. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell for more updates, like and also share for other new members to watch as well. You can also leave a comment after watching or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number showing on your screen. Thank you. Haruna Idrisu, the former minority leader, has also added his voice, saying Bawumia suffers policy credibility crisis. And he also said he will regret of some things he said in his address. He will regret of saying that later. Without much ado, I would like you to join me listening to what he said into detail. Thank you.
So that was the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, and the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party for the 2024 presidential elections. Let's come into the studio now and engage a former minority leader, Haruna Idrisu. He is also a former member of the economic management teams of both President John Atta Mills and former President John Dramani Mahama. So a lot of insight into how the EMT does its work. Good afternoon, sir. Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, Sam, and I should thank your esteemed listeners for the opportunity. Having listened to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the driver mate, as he himself refers himself to, is quite significant to recognize that he's just exemplified a walking contradiction of his persona, and his suffering from a political disease of a syndrome that you can call a messageless disease. And
how so? What do you mean? Because for what he read,
he's struggling to have a message, because he wants in one breath to take credit for some little successes of the Nanado MPP government, and in another breath walk away from its seeming failures. So he was at best a manufacturer of incongruities, both political and economic policy incongruities. Now, if you take and do a deeper content analysis of his presentation.
Now, before we get to the content,
yes.
You've been an EMT member before.
Yes.
How does the EMT work?
In our time, it was chaired by Excellency John Dramani Mahama. That was the Mills era as chairman of economic management team. I was privileged to join it by virtue of being Minister for Trade and Industry. Naturally, you became a member of the economic management team, where issues are isolated from cabinet for further consideration and for advice of cabinet. But leadership is provided by the chair of the committee. I'll use just one example to show the difference between Excellency John Dramani Mahama and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And if you allowed my narrative to flow, I think that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia also just failed to accept responsibility, which is one of the core requirements of a good leader. I'm responsible. I take full responsibility that this is not what we envisage to build. A stable country, stable economy. The economy is evidently in a mess. So take some responsibility for it. And when I say incongruities, I just give you an example where Bawumia strongly states that Ghana's gold reserves will be owned 100% by the state and the republic. A contradiction in terms. Read Article 2576 of the Constitution. It reads, and I quote, "Every mineral in its natural state in, under or upon any land in Ghana, rivers, streams, water courses throughout Ghana, the exclusive economic zone and any area covered by the territorial sea or continental shelf is the property of the Republic of Ghana." So what message has he delivered? So our gold reserves are already the property of the government of Ghana, vested in the president that is assisted to lead this country and to supervise for optimal use of it. Now, if you say that
Can't
our
it be
gold,
that he meant the exploration?
No. You would go in because Ghana doesn't have the capacity, work without money. You need money in order to explore. So you look for private partnership. In any case, in the same constitution, he is seeking to do nationalization. Those you have already given contracts to mine gold, are you going to seize their contracts? When you say you are going to have 100% ownership, that is scary for foreign investors. That is scary for the attraction of foreign direct investment. That is scary for a government which must be seen producing an enabling environment to attract foreign direct investment into this country. Another contradiction in 10, he says that we would use PPP, which is public-private partnership, to build road infrastructure. Another contradiction. Where in the world can you build a road infrastructure, even an airport infrastructure, when you've done away with tolls? Everywhere in the world. What helps you in order to get people into the road sector is to give them an opportunity to toll and recoup their money. So in one breath, this government says that no to tolls. We don't want tolls. Do away with tolls. And then you are coming with a policy which underpinning is hinged on the only way you can have successful private sector participation. For instance,
but his government won't be, or it's not this government.
Are you still sure that he's part of this government, Vice President of the Republic?
Well, but
you see him as part of the government.
He says that my government, I will do PPP, which means that he will bring back the tolls.
And then here, no, he didn't say so.
No, he didn't add it, but
when I asked you whether he's still part of government, here what Nana Dankwa himself said in 2023. What do we gain by attacking the record of our own government? So this question is to Dr. Bawumia. The president is asking you. When you do that, then you become party candidate. Is the president saying that Bawumia is not a party candidate? So I'm now convinced that Bawumia is a loser and he has lost the 2024 presidential election on the strength of his inability to carry Ghanaians along with his message. How can any Ghanaian accept a president who launches what he calls Ghana's next chapter, selfless leadership and bold solutions for the future, without a comment on agriculture, which is the trust and future of the Ghanaian economy? In terms of export, you'll be dependent on agriculture. In terms of the success of your manufacturing sector, you depend on agriculture. In employment, 60% of your employment is in agriculture. You deliver a policy blueprint on Ghana. I'm wondering whether this speech was meant for Ghana or for another country, maybe some desert country where there is no opportunity to farm or to have agriculture. It was meant for Ghana because he mentioned
other than that,
how would you appreciate him that he was talking about the Republic of Ghana? And then he's reduced himself just to a party candidate, the new patriotic party candidate. And then Nanado was saying that there was Akufo-Addo who misled and mismanaged affairs. So are you saying that Akufo-Addo misled Ghanaians when he brought in E-levy, supported by you? I mean, if we're going to be opportunistic, I would say it's a vindication of the NDC minority. We stood firm. It took us 6 months to fight E-levy. We raised the same point that if you want to develop a paperless economy, then don't allow this packet tax to go on. They exploited their numbers and said they had a majority and got it through, even though tactically, largely on the numbers of we relying on Article 104 and whether or not they had the numbers for a decision or not, per the Supreme Court in the Abdullahi case. But if you hear a president to be again, rely on, and I just thought that today I should set some of the records straight. When Dr. Bawumia talks about digitalization, then everybody in Ghana wants to be carried away. He is not, and I insist that he is not. That the NDC, indeed, even from President Rawlings, laid the foundation for a digital, innovative Ghanaian economy, led by Edward Salia, followed subsequently by John Dramani Mahama, followed subsequently by Kandapa, Professor Michael Kwe, and Haruna Idrisu. And just to appreciate it, when you talk about money interoperability,
mobile money interoperability,
don't even go to mobile money.
Okay.
I want to speak to a technical issue. And for me, words have technical meaning.
Okay.
You cannot conceptualize mobile interoperability if there's no mobile interoperability itself.
Okay.
If there was no interconnect between Vodafone and MTN and Vodafone, MTN and Airtel, your money interoperability of Bank of Ghana would not work. Therefore, he came to meet a system which already was interoperable. That is why you could generate a call from a GSM call into even a CDMA call. So the infrastructure was being built. In fact, all the universities in Ghana are not even making use. And I think that Professor Ellis of the former Vice Chancellor of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, I'm lucky he's listening to me, someday we'll speak to this. We laid fiber optic in all the country's universities. And we laid fiber optic through Kumasi, Kintampo to Sunyani, to Sankansi. I went to Sankansi to commission post-Vodafone sale when we took over the assets of Vodafone as Republic of Ghana. Therefore, he must accept that somebody laid the foundation for a digital, innovative economy. Indeed, I should even recognize Kweku Sechiado. Some of it, I worked with him as then chairman of the president of the telecom chamber.
The CEO of the chamber.
Good. I should recognize him. I still remember when we had to do mobile number portability and even the same law, which is the law they are still using. So how come that you are champions of digital innovation?
No, but
when
the law will be done, but
no,
I mean, even if he built
but
a new infrastructure,
what was the law seeking to
identity?
do? Was the law was to lay a foundation for it. Remember when we were passing the same law, we said we needed to fight anonymous crime. So you now build a SIM card into a mobile telephony, integrated. Then when you commit crime, you'll be caught as a user of that number. The foundation was laid. I'm just saying that.
But that wasn't happening, was it?
No, it needed to happen. If you don't even legislate, how do you start? And then Ghana card. Are you saying that every Ghanaian today has a Ghana card? No. We have always said, let the Ghana card be a public good and let it be increasingly available and increasingly accessible to every Ghanaian. So even this argument of Electoral Commission that it must be the sole reference, nobody will fight it or be against it if every Ghanaian has a Ghana card. But it is not when a section of the population is still without it and you insist that it must be the sole and automatic.
But the Vice President never created the impression that every Ghanaian has it. He gave numbers.
He said digital innovation. You saw the Innovation Center with President Mahama inaugurated around Circle at former SCC. It was part
the Accra Digital Center, you mean?
It was part of our discussions even in the Mills Cabinet as to what to do to produce jobs for young people, that the idea was conceptualized. I still remember current Speaker Backbit, when I needed to write to him as then Minister for Works and Housing to give out that land, which was being used for Electoral Commission ballot boxes and others. At least President Mahama with Minister Omani Buama succeeded in building it. It is making a contribution to the building of a digital economy. But more importantly, at the time, what we thought Ghanaians should be doing was what I've now heard them for the first time in their budget statement was business process outsourcing. So 12 years ago, we spoke about it, like airport parking and airport ticketing of a foreign country could be dedicated to a BPO entity in Ghana where you do business process outsourcing and you could win it. So I'm simply saying that he must accept that somebody somewhere, indeed, even the National Communications Authority, we had to make sure that at the time they didn't have any resources to be able to do that. We decentralized the operations into the regional capitals. We deployed fiber, and we even expanded the Ghana Investment Electronic Communication Fund, GIFEC, to go into schools and communities beyond the last mile.
But you also give him the benefit of what he's been able to do on that infrastructure that you're talking about.
So he can build on that
and government is continuing. So you started,
and
he's built something.
He has never acknowledged that somebody somewhere did something that he must benefit from. But Sam, can you imagine that a blueprint of somebody seeking to lead Ghana is without a comment on agriculture? That is politically damning and intellectually unacceptable. to want to lead this country and not accept that many of the things that he's saying. I mean, if you go through, he was very high, even on the economy. What did you inherit as an economy? What do we have today as an economy? Now, today, he proudly can say that they have brought down inflation from 54 to 23%. Who took it to 54%? Somebody must accept responsibility that he took it to 54%. Now, he says that we should celebrate Bank of Ghana. Celebrate Bank of Ghana for what? At least the Bank of Ghana is taking some major innovative decision as the Central Bank of Ghana. But the Central Bank have also been in breach. Indeed, if you read the recent IMF, blueprint, the Article 4 blueprint, I expect that now that Parliament has resumed, the Minister for Finance must walk to Parliament with what he called his borrowing plan, which borrowing plan must respect the minimum standard thresholds of the IMF on what they have agreed to.
You mean the recent 3 billion agreement?
Absolutely, Article 4, because you can't just go borrowing. I have argued strongly on the floor of Parliament that Ghana needs to cap our borrowing and have what we call a debt break, like the Germans have. We should not borrow beyond 65–70% of GDP. And that let it be a rule of thumb for all other political administrations. We are not there. Today, debt to GDP is hovering. It even went over 98%. Can you imagine that? And then years ago, Dr. Bawumia, the trotro mate,
has come down.
The trotro driver of the president, said that 120 billion was colossal as national debt. Today, the national debt has exceeded 400 billion, not 120 billion. Now, when you take the private sector of Ghana, all the economic headwinds are at play against the private sector, against individuals, and Ghanaians are going through unacceptable hardships. I mean, the private sector, at what rate are they borrowing? The interest regime is still unacceptable, inflation unacceptable, depreciation of the cedi unacceptable.
But inflation has come down a bit.
From 54 to 23, who took it to 54, when you said that 16% was unacceptable.
But where it is now is quite better than where it was about a year ago.
And it is not better than John Mahama left it in 2016 and January 2017. Compare the note. You see, that is why we should avoid mediocrity in content analysis of what people say. I'm sure Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia will wish that he didn't say some of the things he said. You know that the Gombes have a proverb that if you sing funeral dirges over a sick person and the person fails to die, you lose your voice. I'm sure Dr. Bawumia have lost his voice because when he and Nanado were singing the funeral dirges to the sick person at the hospital, saying that inflation was unacceptable, borrowing was unacceptably high, the only informative thing he said was wanting to reduce the size of government. And he said he would do 50 ministers. That's remarkable, but he would not succeed. No Ghanaian will be convinced by this message that he should be made the president of the Republic of Ghana. Now go to exchange rate regime. cedi to dollar around the NDC, Excellency John Dramani Mahama time, was 4.2. Today, 12.2, and you say, my idea, I've done well. What kind of...
and he's talking about the rate of depreciation. He says the rate of depreciation is better than what they came to meet.
Look at cumulative, the harm or hurt you've done. At the time that it was 4.2 cedis to $1, maybe the dinar of Dubai or somewhere was the same. How come the hours cannot remain the same? We are not dealing with the volatilities that is affecting the weakness of the exchange regime in Ghana. I think that the answer relies in expanded exports. We should support Ghana's export sector. We are giving money to wrong people, monies which should go into persons who should go into farming, is going into wrong hands. I'm currently even probing some releases of money to persons in the name of farming, by the Ghana Exim Bank. When I get the names, you would be amazed those who took money.
Why you think they've taken monies that they are not using for?
I'll give you the name of an MPP chairman in one of the regions who took almost up to 16 million in the name of farming. As I said, I'm currently researching with a media person to get conclusively to this. Ghana Exim gave him money to do farming. We want to see the state of the farm and how much that money could have done if it was given to poultry farmers in the Brown Harford region or cashew farmers in the Brown Harford region. Probably it could be better. So now, national ID card, and as I said, the foundation was laid by President Kufuor, if you recall, that he got right at that particular level, and he should appreciate that.
So let's do the general economies between when your government was in power and now.
Go ahead.
I mean, are you saying that whatever he said in terms of how the economy, what they did and what you did, is, I mean, he's lying about the figures? I mean, if you compare the performance that you put up and then what
Excellency John Dramani Mahama got 40 billion from the Bank of Ghana, Ghana's economy will not be where it is today. They got. What did they do with it? The Bank of Ghana had to cancel, as you read yourself, almost close to $1 billion US, several billion Ghana cedis. Now, remember, in 2016, there was what we call 0% financing from the Bank of Ghana. And part of our economic management team, which went to the IMF to negotiate that external credit facility agreement, agreed that you could only have up to 5% financing from Bank of Ghana, which meant that you could borrow up to 5% of total revenue of previous year. That itself, the Bank of Ghana could not hold up to the trust of the Bank of Ghana Act itself, which provided, the amended Act, which provided a threshold as to how we can do. So I expect today that the Minister for Finance and the Bank of Ghana must be working towards Parliament with their borrowing plan, which should not ever exceed the minimum threshold as they agreed with the IMF. They would have to limit borrowing. We may not be able to borrow. In fact, the signal and warning is that they cannot go commercial. They can't do commercial borrowing. They have to rely on concessionary borrowing. I'm afraid that they may not be able to have early conclusive agreement with another aspect of the external creditors referred to as bondholders, who are saying that we want comparable treatment. You've done domestic debt exchange, which you describe as a success. You've done exchange with bilateral, multilateral creditors, which you can describe as near success. But there is a major one outstanding, Eurobond holders. Are you able to meet their requirement on the comparable treatment basis? That may throw this economy back into abyss again. So we need to navigate well. And he keeps borrowing today, even in the name of treasury bills. That's adding up. And what caused the delay, even in Ghana, getting don't call it, not forgiveness as in terms of their forgiveness. The Paris clubs and China had to, with them. Yeah, they had to rely on what you call the cutoff date of debt, because government debt treatment, the moratorium wanted to start from 2020. They insisted that no, beyond 2020, you've borrowed up to 2023. So bring it to 2022. That is how come that even with cocoa syndicated loan, the most costliest loan Ghana has ever taken in its history. Today, breaking news from Hershey, one of the leading cocoa manufacturers in the world. Cocoa is buying at $5,800 US, unprecedented in the history of the production of cocoa. But yes, but Ghana is doing bad in terms of volumes, in terms of production. At a time that we could have taken full advantage of a good market, Ghana is found wanting and Ghana is found struggling. Abba, how can we sit for Côte d'Ivoire, which went into war, do better than Ghana 10 years after, and we say that we are better managers of the economy? Remember, they said they were superior managers of the economy. Have you listened to...
But when it comes to cocoa, have you also taken into contest the land size of the two countries?
Whatever land size is, that we're doing well. We almost even achieved the 1 million...
it was recently even achieved, 1.2 million.
We almost got there. How come that today, Cocoa Board PBC cannot pay for its liabilities of money it has borrowed? How come that Cocoa Board itself cannot pay road contractors? They should deviate from that non-core business of theirs. Road construction is not a mandate of Ghana's Cocoa Board, and we need to be strong. I heard they've set up an office somewhere called Cocoa Rationalization Road Project and want to go and rationalize Cocoa Project. You sign contracts. You haven't paid contractors. Roads will deteriorate. Now, because
but again, you also have to take into effect the cocoa rehabilitation they are doing in Western North.
Yes.
So many hectares of land.
Yeah, I've gone through the roads. I mean, I spent my Christmas holidays in Nakpanduri, Bunkrugu. Okay. And I should state strongly that I'll be making a full statement on the state of the roads in that area from Nalerugu through Nakpanduri through Bunkrugu. I was wondering whether I was still in Ghana, but fair to them, the problem have existed over a long period of time. And more than a decade ago, there was a foundation
part of the Cocoa Road?
No. Maybe
we're talking about
maybe they should have added it as Cocoa Road because from Wale to Nalerugu, the John Mahama administration initiated it. You needed to continue with it. I spent several hours hanging in the balance whether I was getting to my destination or not. I also traveled towards Sefi, and I traveled to the central region and Ejumaku area. I met the president of the Regional House of Chiefs of the Central Region. I was amazed at his depth and judgment over many national issues. Okay. And I think that...
So you saw the rehabilitation that they are doing in the cocoa sector?
I say go and pay cocoa contractors. I'm not saying rehabilitate. Okay. They need to
because you're talking about the yield.
So I was thinking... Outstanding. And then E-levy, you projected 6.9 billion.
We'll come to E-levy and then we'll go there. This is an exclusive interaction with Honorable Haruna Idrisu. He is a former leader of the minority in Parliament. He's a former member of the EMT. Yes, Honorable. Now, do Vice President or heads of EMT have economic responsibility that they can be held accountable for? Because you've been part before, you've been there before, so you could probably help us.
In his statement, himself, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, provided that he provided guidance.
So that's what the EMT does.
Whether that guidance was respected or not. But I know he was their champion when it came to political campaigning. So we're only holding him accountable to his own word. Super economic management team. You remember his video when he said Alan Chirmanting, Professor Jamba for headed by me, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, a solid economic management team. If this is the outcome of a solid management team, then what will be the outcome of a weak economic management team? Those are the questions Ghanaians are asking him. That you said you were chairman, and you see, that's why I'm saying that leadership, be responsible.
But he didn't run away from it. If you listen to his statement, he didn't run away. He said, I'm proud of the advice we have given.
You cannot be part of a government. And you said that I had the privilege to be in the cabinet and EMT. Normally, even when the president is conveying a message to parliament, he does it in two capacities. He can just sign Nana Addo Dankwa or President Mahama, President of the Republic of Ghana. He can also allow the cabinet secretary to convey it as a decision of cabinet. Don't forget, cabinet is also a creation of the 1992 Constitution, I believe in Article 79. Now, if you were part of a cabinet who took a decision on e-levy, part of a cabinet who took a decision on emission tax, then even before the dissolution of that government, you say, I'll do away with it. You are indirectly saying that this government has failed. I don't want to be part of it. So he directly or indirectly campaigned for the success of Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the NDC. Simple.
But who doesn't change their mind? I mean,
so if he changed your mind,
something,
if he's changed your mind,
this is not working.
If he's changed your mind to the extent that my government has failed, hallelujah, it's welcome. That's what he said. And then he says the domestic revenue mobilization. You projected that E-levy was going to bring in 6.9 billion. What kind of economics is this? When you get less than 800 million Ghana cedis And you said every other year, your projection was that E-levy will give you 6.9 billion. That informed their misleading doing away with the road tolls. Unacceptable. Then you wake up in the morning and say that you want to be able to do public-private sector participation, dualizing the road sector. Anybody who wants to do Accra Cape Coast, Accra Winneba to Takoradi, Accra Kumasi, Accra through Nsawam through Kumasi, would want a road that is tolled so that he can recover over a 25-50 year period.
But isn't that a policy that can be reintroduced?
No, judgment. So what thinking went into saying that away with road
Yeah,
tolls?
you are right to question that, but are they also not right to say
Ghanaians
tomorrow
will
that
vote for
they
a
are bringing him
government
back?
that flip-flops. No.
Okay.
No Ghanaian will vote for a flip-flop government. No. And those are the things.
No,
we are holding
again,
him.
he's saying you've been a
And
communication minister
then
before.
he's also proud of zip line. We want to hear, and I'm sure one of these days, one of our MPs in the minority will file a question asking for the performance of zip line, how much intervention they have done, how much government money have been called for them in the exercise of oversight. That will be done. Now, Agenda 111 is being financed from John Mahama's Ghana Infrastructure Fund. GIF, you remember that, where we dedicated 2.5% and a certain percentage to go into this. That's what they are now using to do Agenda 111. What is the state of work? How much is the value of one Agenda 111? What value for money audit went into it? We need to know. Other hospitals, similar infrastructure were built for less. Is that what it is? Then Sinohydro. You remember Kwalugu Multipurpose Dam. It is page 39 of his speech. He is talking about Sinohydro. What happened to the Kwalugu Multipurpose Dam? You brought the chiefs and people of Nalergo in that area, northern Ghana, visit and say you are doing the highest investment ever in northern Ghana, 1 billion. And again, you remember even in Parliament, I said, how can you bring 938 million US dollars to be approved midnight in Parliament? But you know the Parliament of Ghana, I'm part of it, weak in oversight. You go and approve it, no value for money, no scrutiny, yet no work have commenced. That has not taken place. Now, the Bank of Ghana gold purchase agreement, we need to know what is happening between Bank of Ghana, BOST, and who buys what in terms of the gold, and how much that has done. President Mahama...
But that has been explained.
Can you imagine if President Mahama hadn't spoken ahead of him
that has been explained,
I would do away with E-levy?
That the PMMC buys the gold for Bank of Ghana, then the money is
but there's another entity which is also saying that it's doing gold for money. And we'll probe it.
Which one?
I say there's another entity.
Boss only goes in to bring the fuel. With
now,
the process from the gold.
They talk about...
How else do you want them to explain that?
Which one?
The gold for oil thing.
Are you talking of PMC for Bank of Ghana?
PMMC.
Yes.
They are the official entity that buys gold in Ghana.
Okay.
Yes. Now, when they do it, they say the money is kept in an account.
That has been helpful. That has been helpful.
That's what they say.
Okay.
They've given the data.
We'll interrogate it and see.
Okay.
He's talking about a new tax system which says that revenue amounting to 13% of GDP. We had this in 2017, 2018. 2019, nothing has changed.
He's talking about flat rates. Now, is that not what the businesses are
value
calling
added tax?
Have you heard the businesses speak? Guta and Co are happy about this, the tax regime that he's talking about. They accepted. They said this is
and Co
good.
must be happy today with the kind of punitive taxes they are going through under their hands. You see, this futuristic we are talking about now, nothing prevents Dr. Bawumia and the Nanadu government to say that all these legislations, they are giving them a sunset and they will come to an end at the end of June. And then businesses and individuals can enjoy the relief. Can you imagine them today even increasing VAT that they said was morally unacceptable? You remember that? And you think that they must have the moral high to say that they can rule Ghana?
What is the
President Excellency John Dramani Mahama has promised when he met MPs in December that he would establish a digital innovation fund which will look at small businesses, fintech businesses, and create a new world of work for millennials, Ghanaian young people who are into IT and have dedicated that as their new adults. They work every day, scrolling. I'm sure your son may be part of those who enjoy that.
Who has the final say when it comes to I mean, the way an economy is run? Is it a vice president or the president?
The president and cabinet. The president and his cabinet, which includes the vice president. Read Article 79, in addition to all other things. That he says that he appoints ministers of state. If the president wanted us to blame him alone, he shouldn't have formed a government with ministers. Then today we hold himself responsible. But he has ministers, he has a vice president, and he says he's a super economic star. So let them take responsibility. And he says what he's going to do with mining. He wants to increase gold reserves to 100%. It is already so under Article 2576 of the 1992 Constitution. So I just thought that he came in campaigning for the NDC, and I'm now convinced beyond shadow of that.
Well,
President Mahama will
but he brought a lot of.
make him a
he
loser.
spoke about his vision for the country, Honorable. Now, his vision, he says, a mindset of possibilities, and he's going to ensure that, to achieve that, we have a curriculum that will look at how you develop the mindset of the people.
When I leave here, I'll share a video with you, page 64, paragraph 158. I spoke to this matter in Nakpandure when I spoke about the amendment to Article 87 of the 1992 Constitution.
What does it
Even
mean?
in Yendi, before he spoke, when I spoken to President Mahama leading major administrative and constitutional review reforms. He said so. So nothing new. And we need to bring closure to this matter of DCs being elected and Metropolitan Chief Executives being elected. Maybe today I should take you through some interesting dimension of it. Ghanaians have never heard this. I hear them saying that the NDC just oppose it. You know, when President Nana Addo Dankwa,
when it comes to the election of the MMDs,
yeah, I'll just read something to you. Article 243,
anyway.
And maybe you come to that other question you want me to answer. So if you look at 243, page 151 of the Constitution, it reads, there shall be a district chief executive for every district who shall be appointed by the president. So when President Nana Addo Dankwa wanted to amend this in the Constitution, he amended 2431 and then forgot to talk about 248.
So what does the 248
So
say?
you could not holistically amend only that one.
So what does the 248 say?
Subject to the a candidate seeking election to the district assembly or any local government unit shall present himself to the electorate as an individual. So this time you are now changing it. He was no longer going to be an individual, but he will be on a party ticket. So if you were amending 243, you needed to amend 248. But even more importantly, you needed to amend 2433. He has spoken about appointment, but he was silent on removal. How do you remove him?
Okay.
If he is elected, the president cannot remove him.
But
if you were doing a holistic constitutional amendment, the amendment which walked to us in Parliament lacked this other additional amendment. Is the reason we resisted it.
Okay.
So it was not going to be.
So what does the 3 say?
The 3 says the office of the district chief executive shall become vacant if he is removed by the president. You can't elect him and the president will remove him. That's incongruous. You can't do that constitutionally. So I'm just saying that in principle, I think that we should work towards the elective principle. But will the person be elected on a party line or he will stand as an individual? Now you see corruption and monetization with election of MPs. Do you want to offload that into election of district chief executives and mayors? You are likely to reduce that to monetization, which currently is being financed by government of Ghana through the Electoral Commission. Now you throw that one to the money bags until we take some appropriate decisions.
Okay, let's look at the taxes the tax regime he spoke about. He says, my administration will introduce a very simple, citizen and business-friendly flat tax regime, a flat tax of a percentage of income for individuals and SMEs, which constitute 98% of all businesses in Ghana, with appropriate exemption thresholds set to protect the poor. With the new tax regime, the tax returns should be able to be completed in minutes. It will also simplify a complicated corporate tax system and VAT regime. To start a new tax regime on a clean slate, my government will provide a tax amnesty, that is, a complete exemption from the payment of taxes for a specified period, and the waiving of interest and penalties up to a certain year of individuals and businesses for failures to file taxes in previous years, so that everyone will start afresh. Yeah. Is this not encouraging for businesses to thrive in Ghana, to employ more people?
Is it not the same Bawumia and Nana Addo who promised $1 million per constituency, who promised one district, one factory, who promised that they will grow the country economy double digit? You remember in 2016? So who would believe that? So I think part of this statement called is his statement is suffering from a policy credibility crisis. That's what Dr. Bawumia said. Ghana's next chapter, selfless leadership and bold solutions for the future, will suffer a credibility crisis because Ghanaians will set this against what he promised earlier in opposition and now promising this in government. So
where he was a mate, not the driver.
So simply, why didn't he do what he has promised to do yesterday? Why?
Because he was not the one in charge. He says his role was to advise.
Did he quit government? If you give advice and you feel strong, you have strong conviction, it's not taken, you walk away. Especially on E-levy. It was major. It divided this country. You know that. For 6 months, we held strong as a minority caucus in our opposition to it. So if you advise and your advice is ignored, you tell the person who is ignoring your advice that, okay, so they ignored him E-levy. Have they ignored him on emission tax too? And then what has he done?
But you said he didn't speak about agriculture, but he did.
He did.
Under the reducing cost of living.
Go to it.
132.
I thought that it deserved its own head. You know?
He says
nobody.
He says,
I repeat it.
I want a Ghana where we attain food security through the application of technology and irrigation to commercial large-scale farming, which is critical.
And that's enough on agriculture.
No. Well, he says we will also promote the use of agricultural land to reduce the acidity of soils, enhance soil fertility, and get more yield from the application of the land.
Is that enough on agriculture?
Ghana has an abundance of limestone to do this, and he says this: I will prioritize the construction of the Palugu Dam by using private sector financing to crowd in grant financing.
Repetitive.
He says
Palugu was commissioned $938 million. There's no cutlass nor shovel at the side of the work. I drove past it only 14 days ago. Maybe next time I'll stand there and take a picture and share it with you. That nothing is going on at the Palugu multipurpose site dam.
But he says his government will do it.
Another promise. Yet, the people were told that in 24 months this project will be completed. You are now promising it post-2024. Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Well, but in any case, I remember all of you have done this. When it came to mechanization of mechanization centers, I hope you remember.
Yes.
During the Mills era, every budget contained the construction of mechanization centers in the regional capitals, but that didn't happen. But you were repeating it. Is it wrong for government to do that?
It's appreciated. I'm only saying that I'm afraid that his major policy blueprint will suffer a policy credibility crisis. Now, if you say 18 district hospitals, even the rich hospital was NDC.
No, I want you to answer the question. NDC. I was asking that.
Yes.
Is it wrong for government?
I've accepted that.
Okay. It's not wrong for you to then repeat it.
It is wrong to repeat Palugu because you commission it, promise the people that I'll come back for completion of work in 24 months. And now you are promising them to look beyond 2025. That is not acceptable.
Okay.
I answered you.
Okay.
And then I said at least Rich Hospital, Tamale Teaching Hospital, Wa Regional Hospital, Sunyani Hospital, INDC. District Hospital, at least I remember Somanya, Bupe, Tolong was commissioned by initiated by NDC. On Koranza area, a lot of it happened under the NDC. So the people there know who to give credit to and who to vote in December 2024.
The first time I had a chat with you here was about, I think you began your statement with how to fight Galamsey, right?
Yes, I remember.
Now, the Vice President, the flag bearer, has given strategies on how we can combat illegal mining in the country. He says that he will formalize, regularize, and regulate environmentally sustainable small-scale mining. About 1 million people are engaged in the small-scale mining, and their goal would be to help grow small-scale mining companies into large-scale companies with capacity building and assisting them to access financing to acquire equipment. We can create many millionaires in the small-scale mining industries if we support them. It says my government will support the Minerals Commission and its key stakeholders to formalize the artisanal and small-scale gold mining sector with the objective of ensuring that the activities of the entire value chain are sustainably and responsibly done so that most of the gold produced by this sector can be sold to the Bank of Ghana and be eligible to be part of the gold reserves of the central bank.
I'll be surprised that somebody in Ghana today will put iota of credibility from Nana Dankwa through Bawumia, through any minister, on any effort by them to fight Galamsey. Don't you recall the president's own words in Parliament? He even said he will quit if his Galamsey fight fails. Have you passed by River Pra and Co?
Oh, yeah.
Are you not disappointed?
I am.
And shameful. It is, if you are going to rate the performance of major policy decisions, it is one major monumental failure, the fight against Galamsey. So he dare not even speak about Galamsey. He dare not know. This should not be an area even President Akufo-Addo should attempt to want to deceive Ghanaians for the second time.
But let's look at
we saw, look, from Dalong in Tamale, in Kumbungu, when excavators and tipper trucks were burned, some were seized. Some of those seized vanished. And then we saw up to Aisha Wang, arrested, released, arrested, convicted. We have not seen any policy success in their war and fight against Galamsey. Let's be looking at the numbers. And one of these days, somebody must ask, how much have we spent between 2017 and yesterday with this combined military police security thing in the fight against Galamsey? And measure it against the outcomes we are getting. Our water bodies are heavily polluted. As I said, I drove towards the central region and even to Takoradi. As I was crossing one of the bridges after
Big Poso.
I was kind of, I even drew the attention of the person who was seated with me that look at the state of this water. So again, credibility crisis. I will fight Galamsey. 8 years on, I have failed. No admission. Give me an opportunity into the future. It is only MPP who says that for 7 years I failed to do this. Give me 1 year to do it. It's only the MPP that thinks that way. In 7 years, I failed to do something. And they give me 1 year to be able to do it, so that within 8 years I would have achieved it. No. I don't see that happening.
But if
in terms of healthcare,
if you say that we'll come there. But if you say that, are you assuming that all of you are able to accomplish whatever you tell Ghanaians you will do?
So if you couldn't do it in 7 years, you believe it that you do it in 1 year.
But you also had 8 years. You couldn't do everything.
That's why they voted us out. So they'll be voted out. And in terms of health infrastructure, the President Mahama.
Let's do the economy, then we go to health. Honorable, during from 2013 to 2016, the GDP growth rate in 2013 was 7.313%. In 2014, it was 2.89%. In 2015, it was 2.178%. In 2016, it was 3.448%. Now, if you compare it to that of the NPP in 2017, it was 8.143%. In 2016, it was 6.363%. 2019 was 6.478%. 2020 was 0.9%.
Is that an NDC percent?
No, that's the MPP percent.
That's post-COVID MPP
exactly.
percent.
Now, averagely, they were doing better than the NDC.
They did better
before COVID.
Because of
now, after COVID, they started, the economy became. So if you look at what they did before, can't you then trust that this is a team that managed the economy this way, and therefore they can
I
do
hope
this
you
this
have
way?
monitored and read the brilliant article by Emmanuel, Ghana's president.
Is it Kujo or is it Bryce Simmons or you're talking about Franklin Kujo?
Franklin Kujo.
Okay.
This growth in 2017 and 2018 were largely because of the investment the John Mahama administration made, particularly in the oil sector, with the bringing in of Sankofa and the rest. So that increased the growth. What did they invest in 2017 to have achieved this level of growth? Tell me. You are just coming as a new government, took government around April, so you are benefiting from the previous year's government investment. I followed that article and I'm satisfied with what Franklin sought to do in terms of policy analysis of it. Thank you.
So you're saying that the MPP didn't do anything at all? But
whatever it is, post-COVID, every government suffers setbacks. For them, when Minister said Tekwe was going to talk about volatilities, they said, oh, shut up, what volatilities? External factors have no effect. Now even the death of the Queen can have an effect. Post-COVID and then Ukraine, you are saying that external factors. Other economies have grown. Ivory Coast have grown. Compare us to other economies. I wish I had carried my budget copy. I would have shown you the trajectory of growth. Many other countries beyond COVID, beyond Ukraine have grown. Ghana have failed to grow. So it's a problem of leadership.
But can we really compare our economy to that of, say, the Ivory Coast and Congo?
We are similar. We are about the same.
Who are assisted hugely
Assisted by who?
By their mother country like France.
It's not so.
Really?
Ghana, if you look at how much money we have pumped in, we should do better.
Does the Ivory Coast have a central bank?
Why not? They do. Every country
with their,
because they are part of their French monetary zone system. They may, but it may not be as independent as Ghana has, and it may not relate to the economy as our own have, but they do.
But won't the relationship with France have any role to play on how the economy is held and stable?
Are you following what is happening in the global politics of France? France influence in Africa is being subjected to some major setbacks.
That's 3 countries.
And I think that I don't want to fray into diplomatic issues. This worrying development of Burkina, Mali, and the other country, even saying that they are shying away from being part of ECOWAS, is problematic, particularly in our quest to fight terrorism, extreme terrorism that is very close to our borders from those angles. So industrialization, 1D1F, $1 million, $1 per constituency, Zongo Development Fund. You see, at least one good thing, Dr. Bawumia was not high like President Akufo-Addo on bureaucracy. Zongo Development Belt Authority, Coastal Something Authority, this authority, what have they done? They are repeating the same thing that local authorities of district assemblies are doing. We could have saved the money for the country. So I think overall, the NDC looks good. President Mahama looks determined and set to be re-elected as president of Ghana. And I pray that he takes advantage, full advantage of the benefit of hindsight, having been in office, having been out of office, to combine that to do good to the people of Ghana and to work to stabilize the economy and improve the loss of Ghanaians. Okay. So we've gone through the pages and...
you think the NDC looks good?
Too good. After listening to Bawumia to this
and
stage,
that you're winning, hands
down. There's work to do, but we can now sleep that he's not as much threat as some thought he was.
But I mean, the man you are fighting or you're praying he wins, there seems to be some tension between you and him. Why are you still...
No. Dismiss it. There's never been. Dismiss it. There's never been.
Really?
Yes.
But
nobody knows.
We saw and heard what happened.
No. And I say nobody knows and understands the way I relate to my boss. Leave it there. There is nothing. No. Even as minister, I never had any difficulty having access to him as president, even today. So just dismiss it. But you see, I'm not one of those small boys who go parroting that I was here, I was there, I've been sent here, I've been sent. No, I'm above that. No, I've never had any issue or problem. No. So dismiss it and let's work on. There are people who profit from that. I'm sure they themselves are beginning to identify that they probably...
Okay. Yeah. So you think that is, but again, we've heard that there's a reshuffle coming in. I mean, yours came last year when you were pushed off the perch as the minority leader, right? Now we hear there is one coming in for the MPP.
Minority leader is behind me. I still remain member of parliament for Tamale South. If I don't even go home, I'll be sworn in on January 7th as MP for Tamale South. I have a covenant with the people of Tamale South. They know that they have a strong candidate and person in Haruna Idrisu. They can trust on my leadership that I have provided. And leadership is, I got an onerous privilege to lead a minority for 7 years. My footprints are there for every Ghanaian to appreciate. Long term, these are not footprints you can close, even if you hate or like Haruna. There are major footprints. I mean, look at the performance of the NDC, even in the 2020 presidential and parliamentary election. The parliamentary results were stronger. The minority provided leadership. There are some constituencies that I provided leadership in us getting. You saw the same minority usher in a watershed of a Speaker of Parliament from a party that didn't have a majority in Parliament. It took the Haruna Idrisu minority to block the E-levy for 6 months. It took the Haruna Idrisu minority leadership to block Ejapa. It took the Haruna Idrisu minority leadership to block the $1 billion loan, which eventually with this 750 leaving 250. But what people must appreciate is that we were just exploiting the simple majority and the laser thin tight numbers of 137. Many decisions in Parliament are by simple majority, save when you have to cross a threshold which is onerous, where the Constitution says to censure or remove a minister. So even from day one, when I started, I told Ghanaians that I may not be successful. I don't have the numbers. And you saw the majority abandon me halfway. Did you intend that the ship will not sink? It will sink. Because those I was cruising with, the blind man was now, how do you call the person who is in front of the ship? You want to laugh at my Koko school English.
So I mean, now that the majority is also contemplating search.
Oh,
I don't know what you've heard and what sort of advice you give them.
Look, Che Mensa Bonso, you must respect and admire him as leader. He has experience and he is familiar with his standing orders and the Constitution. But on many occasions, I know how to deflate him as the minority leader, and many a times I did when necessary. But I think that we should give support to the new leadership and see what footprints they would also leave behind. That's the trust of leadership. I've done mine, and now I'm focusing on my seat and other seats that I may be able to assist other aspiring MPs to conquer. Currently, I'm working with my colleagues in Northern Region, the United NDC United for 15 seats in Northern Region. And we are at work. We should do minimum. President Mahama should do 60%, his minimum, if he hasn't done well in Northern Region. And then we should be able to garner some 15 or more seats in the region. And his tour was a major, huge success, thanks to the unity of our group, the Haruna group versus the other group. You were talking about working together.
Have you heard about the ministerial reshuffle anyway? You should probably have eyes and ears in government.
If Akufo-Addo ever reshuffles, then probably he's yielding to pressure from his party, because he himself have always said that he doesn't believe in reshuffle. But at least everywhere in the world, you add new impetus and new blood to government, and you make ministers too comfortable if you leave them at particular positions for a long period of time. I'm always for that. I mean, I'll tell you that I worked at the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Communication. My finest hour in public service was my work at the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations. I'm writing my memoir. I'll share it with you. It's titled Shadow in Darkness. And one of the things I've captured in the memoir was a visit to Kolebu Mortuary, when a mortuary man looked at my face and said, at that time, poor conditions of service. So I went to the mortuary, and the mortuary man said, you, Haruna, Ebola body I carry, AIDS body I carry, look at my pay. That was a polite way of sharing with me that he was going through poor conditions of service. Worthy lesson to learn. Very polite. He was simply saying that, look at my pay, look at my conditions of service. That informed my decision, supported by President Mahama at the time, to give health workers in this country their first ever codified conditions of service. It happened under NDC, and I'm proud of that record. Together with the organized labor, I should pay tribute to the TUC leadership, particularly the health leadership at the time, and those that we worked with.
Now, let's look at, you did national service, right?
In Karaga. I used to teach at a primary school in
Oh, you did your
Karaga,
national service in Canada?
Karaga.
Karaga.
Yes, around Bushegu. Rural Karaga.
Okay.
I did.
But is this something we should still hold on to?
You saw Bawumia attempting to say that he would do away with national service. Another failed promise. You see, everywhere in the world, you are rather supposed to expand it. What I thought Dr. Bawumia should be talking to is, I'll pay allowances that I promised that have not been paid. NAPCO, unpaid allowances. Nurses, unpaid allowances. Youth employment, unpaid allowances. And then you come and you say national service, even national service, unpaid allowances. You should be interested in how much you generate revenue to deal with this outstanding arrears. You promised nurses, when Excellency John Dramani Mahama said that, look, I don't think that Ghana could sustain this. You remember what he was referred to at the time, dead goat syndrome, eh? Yes, Ghanaians took him on. The same Ghanaians must look what he's promising. It's been, national service have proven good for the country in terms of the individual development and learning experience of the new entrants from the universities to the world of work.
But his idea is that, for example, you, Haruna, let's say by the time you completed school, and you had your own business that you were doing, why do you leave that business?
So what he should have announced is that there will be a business model to national service, and those who want to go into entrepreneurship can do that. That's what he should have done.
But he didn't announce a total scrap of the policy. Anyway.
I don't know what was in his
he said that,
but he got it wrong. He got it wrong.
You can decide to do it.
He got it wrong.
Not.
You see, in Ghana, we are not developing private enterprise well. I have been at the Ministry of Trade and Industry. What the AGI have asked for, I will make it compelling when the NDC is considering its manifesto, and I get the opportunity to be part of it. Everywhere in the world, industry pay less than individual consumers. In Ghana, it's the opposite.
Industry pay less in terms of what?
Tariffs.
Okay.
In order to encourage them as facilitators and drivers of the economy. I've sat in a meeting far back 2013, 2014, 15. I still recall, albeit with some sad memories, with then late Jafar Tivo. Even at the time, we're advocating that customs should work 24 hours. Many of the tax amnesty Dr. Bawumia spoke about, you know why I say it's a working contradiction. They are already in the tax laws. Go and look at the GRA, Tax Administration Act of Ghana. They are there. Tax amnesty have been granted, it's been announced, it's not yielded it. If industry is not doing well, they can't pay taxes. You're not paying them promptly, they can't pay taxes. I mean, road contractors, save maybe this period up to December, a lot of it are still in huge arrears. Cocoa roads, I'm told that Cocoa Board owes road contractor close to 10 billion or more. That's not their mandate. And Cocoa Board is borrowing 800 million as a costliest, as was reported by Bloomberg in their financial analysis. And even that, they said they borrowed from some private sector player. We need to know who they borrowed from and for how much they took. So
So you said something that I'm interested. So you mean that individuals should pay more in tariffs than industries?
You have to work out a holistic tariff regime which respects and recognizes industry that they do well. I've heard the AGI make advocacy for it. I've sat in a couple of meetings on it, and I think that should happen. So to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Nana Dudankwa say, what do we gain by attacking the record of our own government? You ended up attacking the record of your own government. It serves no political, moral purpose. It does not.
Interesting. We've had a lot of issues to talk about here on the Pulse with Honorable Haruna Idrisu. Well, he thinks that Mahama is well placed to win the 2024 elections. I don't know about you, but this conversation.
To take a reckless opposition to lose 2024 elections.
Really?
Oh, yes. This one, you want a Dagomba proverb. If you chase a tortoise to a young mouse and you can't catch it, it's your shame. You chase a tortoise to a young mouse and you can't catch it.
So MPP has been chased to a young mount now.
Unless somebody catch the tortoise.
Anyway, interesting. Well, so this is it. You're still watching the Pulse here on the Journey channel. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Please don't go away.
Thank you for joining PENDREAM TV. We really appreciate your time. Please, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so for us. Hit the notification bell for more updates. Thank you.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.